Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Last Friday of July.
Wow.
Where's the summer going? Where's the year going? It's already well over half over, but here we
Crazy.
are. Put our
Yes.
smiles on and keep going anyway. No,
Very happy it's Friday.
yes, yes, indeed. And happy World SysAdmin Day.
Yay.
Yes.
We
Happy,
appreciate.
congratulations to all of our sysadmin pals out there. This is my first sysadmin day in 20 years where I haven't been a sysadmin. So you all get my warm, fuzzy hugs at this point, because here is the thing. We all know that systems admins don't get enough love from their organizations. We have to take it upon ourselves and, do some self-care today. So we're excited. We've got some fun stuff to talk about this week. We've got story time, obviously, because we all have our stories, and some other fun stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Gonna be a good one.
Although Tom said that he has a story that he actually can't tell, which just makes us want to hear it even more. We're very disappointed in you, Tom.
Let us just say that I was not aware that you could do those things with an Android tablet that's built into the front of a refrigerator.
Ooh.
And those are that is out in a public place. And and that was when he discovered that web filters on Android tablets built into refrigerators are a little harder to do than you thought.
That could put you in some interesting situations. Wait, was this your refrigerator or
No.
someone else's?
It was a customer's refrigerator.
Oh,
And it was done by members of their construction team as they were rebuilding this particular location, and had installed the refrigerator. And the general manager of the organization thought it would be really cool if it was a connected refrigerator, and did not realize that there could be a web browser on that could be taking up the entire screen. The entire screen was an 11 by 17 screen that you could see from almost everywhere.
I've worked in construction. I grew up in construction because my dad and his brothers did construction and moved houses and built houses and all that. So,
You can imagine.
oh, yes, I can. I've also worked with people who fish, and I've worked with mechanics, and yes, I can definitely imagine. As seeing in the comments, I think
Yeah, looks like the
a lot of
audience
people-
can as well.
a lot of people can imagine what went on in that browser. Yes, getting some face palms. Yes. Woo. So, well, that's one sysadmin story down. And we are going to be asking for more. And you, while we're going through the show, you can share them in the comments. But what we would really love is for you to think about coming up on stage with us and sharing live, because that would be a lot more fun to see your face as you share it. And it can be a funny story, it could be a little bit of a horror story. And Tom's kind of runs along both. So that's the perfect story right there. It has a little bit of both. So be thinking about it. Raise your hand if you want to do that. And in the meantime, we have lots to talk about today. We've got a community update. Alexa's got a little bit of a meetup update. Tom's going to talk a little bit about product releases. We've got 2 or 3 IT news stories, and then we will jump more into the sysadmin storytelling time. And we did have at least one volunteer. I'm not seeing him on our list of attendees yet, but I'm hoping that he will jump in at some point and raise his hand and say he's here. And if so, we will bring him on screen. And with that, I will jump into community updates. So what is going on in community? We are still chugging along. Got a couple of things to point out. Pam is asking about, are you still doing backups? And would love to have some more people chime in there. It's always interesting to see that with people being in the cloud, whether or not they are still encouraging people to back up their laptops and things or not. So go chime in there. We'll put a link in the show notes. And Stephen is asking for recommendations on unmanaged web and app hosting. That's an interesting conversation because we're actually struggling to find people who still do that besides somebody like, big like AWS or something like that. But I think they're looking for maybe someone in between AWS and really small hosts. So go chime in on that one as well if you have someone. Sean, oh no, the backup debate. And I was hoping to be able to talk about this today, and it looks like everything went well. We've made some updates to the community, and I'm actually, even though it's kind of a minor update, I'm actually really excited about it because we had a few people ask for a change in the news feed and how it appears, and we were actually able to do that. So Kelly and Chad in particular, you had said something about, oh, hey, Kelly, she actually showed up. Hey, you're here. Had actually asked about updates to where when someone comments on a topic, you weren't seeing that in the feed. So what was happening was new topics would come and they would just keep going down the line. And if a new comment came in, you wouldn't really see it on the home feed. So now we have, when you sort by most recent, the time and date stamp will actually update when there's a new comment. You won't see the new comment in the feed, but you will see the time stamp update, which means it will jump back up to the top of the news feed. So you will see that something has been updated and you'll be able to look at it on the feed. So I'm really excited about that because that means anytime new comments come in, it'll jump back up. You'll know there's new content there and you can go look at it. It works on the homepage, categories, and boards. You can still use the all recent posts page to look at all the comments in order if you want to. We'll have all of those links in the show notes. But a really great update to keep things more on top of what is coming in as it comes in. And we also updated the font. I know that's like a little silly minor geeky thing, but it is now Arial. It is much more readable and no funky little quotation marks that look not right, upside down, backwards, all that stuff. And maybe that only matters to the editor English nerd in me and maybe a few others who pointed it out. Yeah, Pam's going, yay.
I was going to say, I bet Pam will appreciate it.
Yes. And so a couple other people had pointed that out too. And it was really annoying. And even though it appears right on the website, it wasn't appearing right in the community and we couldn't get that resolved. So we just updated it to Arial. So now it looks right and it should be much more readable and friendly to your eyes. So those have gone in this morning. You should be able to see that right now if you refresh. And yeah, I'm just excited that those little minor changes should help with the readability of the site. So yay. And I think that was all. But if you notice any problems from any of that, if you run across any weirdness that's happening, please let me know. But that should be it for community. Alexa.
Awesome.
You.
Yeah, and it looks like you're getting very positive responses in the chat. People are excited about the new font. So
I'm so happy when people are excited about minor changes that I'm excited about too. So I don't feel
you're not alone.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, yeah. So kind of a small update for me for meetups today. I know I've been teasing kind of a big announcement the last few weeks and I'm still not quite ready to share. But what I will say is that we will have a new look and feel to our entire Meetup network coming very soon. I got the draft of the new rendition this week and it looks awesome. And I'm super excited to share it with all of you. So hopefully that will be ready to go next week is what I'm hoping. So next week, stay tuned. We should have that update to share and it looks really awesome. Just continuing to make the network as agnostic as possible to encourage IT admins from all over, Jump Cloud user or not, to join us so that we can have even more meaningful discussions around just all things tech. As always, make sure you're part of that network so you don't miss out on those announcements and you see those updates, because with that as well, we will be launching our August events here shortly, targeting towards the end of August for these events to give folks enough time to register and see the events and everything. But yeah, we'll have that link in the show notes. So make sure that you're a part of it.
And like we said last week, if you have a small group of admins in your area and you want to start getting together in person, or you already know of a meetup of some sort and you would like a sponsor, reach out to us and let's talk.
Definitely.
I was going to say we went to trivia last night with the Mac DMV group and had a good time. Placed second, got $20 off our check for the next time. So that was pretty good. It was so great to see people in real life.
Yeah.
I think that's something that we've all taken away from the last couple of weeks is more people in real life. And it feels good. It's a great place to casually talk about things and have good conversations and learn stuff and build networks, because you never know when those are going to come in handy.
Absolutely. Those networks are critical. We talked a little bit about that last week too, about so if you haven't watched it, hint hint, go to YouTube and you can find it on our YouTube channel and rewatch all the old episodes, because we've got a lot of new people this week. And thank you for joining, by the way. We've got a lot of great new people, probably too many to call out, but thank you all for joining. We stream live to YouTube, so you can be watching that there as well. But it is great to have everybody here. Your network is super, super important. We found that out last week when we went to our all company meeting. For those of you who weren't here, I think we still might be riding a little bit of that high, because just seeing people in person, getting to see people we've worked with for quite a while, it was fantastic. For me, I'm doing a summer of concerts and trying to be really careful, because I am still careful about COVID and wearing my mask a lot, but I'm just so tired of being stuck in my house that I'm trying to find things that I can do safely. And like this Sunday is Boss Skaggs, and then I've got
oh, nice.
Yes. And then I just bought tickets to the Gypsy Kings in October, Panic at the Disco, Daryl Hall. I mean, I've got there's so many. I did not know how many great concerts we have in our area that I've been missing out over the last 4 or 5 years. And so I'm like all the concerts. I saw Joe Jackson last month. So yeah, it's like all the things. So, we're talking about admin and self-care and things like that. Those are great self-care things. Like, what do you like to do? What's important and is going to keep you going and everything. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was a little bummed I had to miss Bastille when they came through DC. I was going to say we ended up I ended up with my wife stuck out of country. And so was not able to go, and that was a super bummer. But I look at the calendar and see who's coming, and it's like Lake Street Dive will be here in early September. Father John Misty is coming. Same with Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats. So lots of really good music coming to DC right now, and getting out and about on the concert side. I even masked up. Those are a blast. So.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of outdoor ones, and we've got this amazing historic theater here in Durham. And it's a small venue, and it's just wonderful to go see that. Craig Ferguson is going to be there, and I'm like, so even just, comedy and stuff like that. Yeah. Just getting out among people, even people I don't know. And usually I'm like, I don't really like to be out and about among people I don't know, but I'm doing it anyway. That's how people starved I am. And if you know me, that's a big deal.
Saying something. Yes. Well, what I'm hearing is maybe we should have a meetup at a concert or something.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool if we could figure out how to do that. But we're too scattered, but we'll have to. We should do a concert review one of these days on the IT Hour. Just talk about at the end of summer, after all the concerts are over, let's just share about all the cool concerts we've seen.
Definitely.
So I'm looking at the comments real quick about. Kelly says, do everything in your power to see Craig Ferguson. He's magnificent. I did get tickets to him. I saw Gypsy Kings just earlier this week that they're coming in October, and I could not hit the buy button fast enough. I've been wanting to see them for like a decade and a half, and I missed getting to see them when I lived in Southern California. So this is like I love them so much. Anyway, off topic, but
We digress.
that is the fun of the ITR. We digress a lot. So product release time, Tom.
Yeah. So we've
going
got a couple of things that have been released recently or will be released in the next couple of days or that are in early access now. On the Mac OS side, we've got a couple of new policies. App security preference, or excuse me, app privacy preferences policies are now available. And so if you've got an application that you need to approve full disk access for, we'll walk you through the whole thing. System extensions policies are also available now, and kernel extension policies are coming real soon now. For those people who want to use kernel extensions still with Intel machines, you will also be able to do a kernel cache rebuild via the API, which is super exciting. For those folks who need that, they need that. And, we've built that into our API for you to use, which is superb. The other things that are out there that are coming really soon, if you haven't seen it already, there's a great community post on the scheduled activation of users. Everybody knows that when you've got new users coming online, whether they're imported from your RIS system or when you create them in a staged mode, you want them to come online when they're ready so that you don't have to go back into the dashboard and do that. Trevor Wyman from our product team has a great post up in the community on how this works. This is super exciting because it's going to give you that ability to essentially say, all right, 8 a.m. on their start day, poof goes the user and they get instantiated, sends the email to their personal address, goes through all of that process and gets everything going there. So lots of really great things to do there. Lots of really great stuff coming there. And that one is super excited. I was going to say the other one that I'm super excited for is that the multi-tenant portal for all of our MSP files out there, their homepages are now going to get those same alert boxes that you see inside your tenant now, so that you can see those on a global scale for all of the locations that you manage. So if your organization is using the multi-tenant portal because you're an MSP or because you have an umbrella set of companies, there's going to be a lot more coming as we go into the fall, especially around commands and policies. So look for more there, and we'll try and get Subha Sriram from our MSP team to join us on a future IT hour, or if we can get him, I would really love to introduce you all to Antoine, who is the director for our MSP program, who is a tour de force human being. And there's going to be a lot more that he's got to share as we go into the fall. Last but not least, for those organizations that are really looking for a way to have your identities mastered in Azure Active Directory and still use things like JumpCloud's Radius program, there are some really cool features coming where you can turn over your, essentially, we can ingest your authentication and redirect and handle that for Wi-Fi networks and VPN networks using Radius. And so if you're interested in that solution, if this is something that you really have a keen security requirement for, where you have to let Azure handle those things, please come drop me a note. And I'll get you introduced to the device's identity team, which has been hard at work on a authenticated solution for Radius based on the Azure Active Directory. The whole reason that everybody is out there working with JumpCloud now is that we're an open directory platform. That means that we can take our authentication from anywhere. It means that we can reflect that authentication out as a conduit to anywhere, to networks that you trust, to using JumpCloud for your Radius networks and things along those lines. So the idea is that JumpCloud can be your redirect hub. We can be the center of your environment. We're going to have a lot more to say about the Open Directory platform as we go through the late summer, early fall. You're going to be hearing a lot about this old term. Everybody worries about, hey, it wasn't Open Directory an Apple thing. It's not. They've abandoned the use of Open Directory largely and have for several years. This is about building an open directory platform. So the idea is that at that point, JumpCloud can take your authentication and your authorization from any environment and reflect it out to any of the apps, devices, or other services that you use JumpCloud with. And it's all about making JumpCloud a more powerful center within your environment. So we're really excited to talk more about that. Our first use case for this is Azure Active Directory with Radius. So we're super excited about that. We'd love to talk about those things. So that's our product update for today.
So exciting. I love it when you get all excited, Tom. It's very fun to listen. And with that, just a few things that might be interesting in the news. Yeah. So
I like news.
yeah, me too. So I was looking around and found a couple of things that might be interesting. So Micron's 232 layer NAND paves the way for 200 terabyte SSDs.
Not 200 gig, 200 terabytes.
Yeah, this kind of blew my mind.
That's large.
That's very large. So memory and data storage producer Micron has begun production and shipment of the world's first 232 layer NAND in Singapore, which marks the first time a manufacturer has surpassed 200 layers. So this opens the door for the first 200 terabyte SSDs. And for comparison, even the flashiest personal computers usually stop at 2 terabytes of storage. And the current largest SSD in the world is Nimbus Data's 100 terabyte exadrive.
Yeah, I was gonna say there have been 8 terabyte SSDs in Apple products for a couple of years now. Going back to the Mac, the very highest end of the MacBook Pro, and then frequently would double the size or double the cost of the machine just to go from 2 terabytes up to 8 terabytes. So it's not an insignificant change to be able to essentially push the boundaries on this. Because I remember a whole lot of times when back in the olden times, in the before times when we made hard drives out of sticks and rocks. But going from that 1 terabyte to 10 terabyte, going from 10 terabyte to 20 terabyte, it's a huge deal. It's about data density inside your environment. And so being able to go from 176 layers, which is generally where Micron has been for a little bit of time now, up to 232 layers means that you can get a much more dense, much more quick SSD environment. And so the idea here is that you've got a whole bunch of space in those in those SSDs, so that you can really increase the storage density of your rack.
I hear photographers and designers everywhere just rubbing their hands together because
all the video people, man, they need all the space in the world.
Raw photographs take up so much space, but they're saying that they're going to ship these in component form, but the 100 terabyte SSD costs around the Nimbus one costs around $40,000. So
one sports car.
The 200 terabyte one is going to be.
I was going to say that's a really nice sports car, probably a Ferrari.
Yeah. So a little bit more expensive. So Gizmodo might be a little bit outdated on saying that laptops only carry about 2, but I think for most people, the affordable ones usually max out at about 2. But wow, I can't even imagine. That would be like 2 minivans or something. I'm a mom. I think in terms of minivans. So although I like sports cars. Next one, yesterday Apple seeded the second public beta of Mac OS 13 Ventura.
Yeah. So, we're starting to get down the garden path with Apple's update cycles. We know that this happens every summer. Sometime in June, we get the first round of betas. Sometimes in early July, we get the first round of public betas instead of the developer betas. And, that's a good chance for you to test your environment. And it's a great way for you to easily and quickly upgrade a laptop from whatever you're running now, 12.4, 12.5, 11.6, 10.15.7 maybe, and get up to a test version of macOS Ventura. There is a lot to like in Ventura. It has been remarkably stable so far, at least on my experience of the developer betas. Some adventures in the operating system there, but nothing like deal breaking. I think in a lot of ways. I think they're going to be the biggest change for me so far has been like, okay, you're going to need to get ready to update all of your documentation because nothing is where it used to be in the system preferences. The app called System Preferences is gone. It is now System Settings. And System Settings looks an awful lot like the iOS version of the Settings app, for good or for ill, mostly for ill. And there is a lot of adventuring in terms of like where they have stuck things. So there are a lot of changes here. So far in our testing at Jump Cloud, we are not finding any major red flags. And certainly a system that is currently operant when you upload or when you update will continue to do so. And even on new installs, we're still seeing everything work exactly as expected, provided that you're doing MDM enrollment and not just installing the agent by yourself. So just be aware of that. And so I think that there is, a lot of, changes to the underlying parts of the operating system. We're still exploring the platform SSO feature that Apple has documented, which is going to make it easy for an IDP like JumpCloud and an MDM also like JumpCloud. Handle user authentication in a slightly better way. We don't expect them to have that in the initial version of Ventura, and probably will be a spring release. But we've got a lot more to do and to say around how that's going to operate going forward. And yeah, I was going to say there are, some people are calling out a few things, but Ventura mostly runs well except for open and save dialogues. I haven't had that particular problem. I would be very interested in more about that, Jeff. And then I think I see another one about from Rob. It looks a lot like iOS. The intern spent 45 seconds doing copy paste on that. Yeah, it kind of does feel like that in some cases. Though I know that someone probably really worked hard on this and it's maybe not up to their own standards. I'm hopeful to see some changes. There is one thing that admins should be aware of. Apple has basically said, hey, look, if you're installing a launch daemon or a launch control item onto the user's device, the user, if they're an admin, can turn it off easily through a GUI. This is not ideal. We are hoping for feedback from everybody. So I strongly recommend that if you haven't filed feedback about that one, you want to make sure that MDMs have the ability to say, hey, by the way, my security software and my authentication agent from JumpCloud, we ought to be able to say those are always on because I'm an admin and I say so. So if you need good feedback guidelines, I'm more than happy to help you with a template and where to apply it and do all of those things. Happy to have those conversations. But yeah, lots of interesting new things that are in there. I think that the improvements to Maps, for example, is excellent. The improvements to the calendar app and to Mail are substantial if you're using those in your environment. I mostly live in browsers these days, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. So. Yep.
I'm looking forward to trying the camera or the phone.
Companion mode.
Yes. Phone as webcam. Continuity camera, I think is what they
Continuity camera. That's right.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds really cool. And maybe
especially for creators, because it's got like a desk view mode. And so if you've been working on something on your desk, it's amazing.
Oh, that would be cool. Because then you can get it. I think they're going to be making stands and you can hold it. Well, there are people already making stands, but then you can put it over your desk and do whatever you're doing. There are a lot of people in, crafty blogs and things like that, where there are, or people that do box openings, even people in IT do that, where, I've got a box of something, I'm going to open it. And then you can have it over your desk where you can show what you're opening. So I think that would be cool. And the camera on the phone is always so much better than the one on here.
Oh yeah. I will say I did buy one of the, overpriced Apple Studio displays, and that's the camera I'm using today. It's not bad. It's not as good as it should be. I'm in great light, everything is just fine. But if it gets dark in here, I get real grainy real fast. So.
I know I have one over here on my other computer, and I was expecting it to just be way better than my old studio display, and it is, but it still likes to focus on my background more than me, which is kind of weird. It's like, I'm here, not back here. I'm here. Look at me. But maybe that's just the prima donna in me. It's like, focus on me. Anyway. All right, we've got one more item of news. Let me flip back over to that. So Microsoft Threat Intelligence Center links a threat group to Austrian spyware vendor DSRIF. I thought this was interesting because Microsoft linked the efforts of a threat group, Knotweed, to an Austrian spyware vendor. The group has so far used the malware dubbed Sub-Zero to attack groups in Europe and Central America. The Sub-Zero software used by Knotweed can be used to hack a target's phone, computers, network, and internet-connected devices. So these include command and control infrastructure used by the malware directly linking to DSRIF, a DSRIF associated GitHub account being used in one attack, a code signing certificate issued to DSRIF being used to sign an exploit, and other open source news reports attributing Sub-Zero to DSRIF is what Microsoft is saying. So in 2021, the Cyber Mercenary group was also linked to the exploitation of a fourth 0-day, a Windows privilege escalation flaw in the Windows Update Medic service. We'll put the CVE number in the notes, which was used to force the service to load an arbitrary signed DLL. So just really interesting that they're figuring out how all these things are linked, and that Microsoft's Threat Intelligence Center is linking these up. Most of the attacks, it seems, happened in Europe and Central America, but it's always good to be on the lookout as to what's going on there. I tell you what.
Yeah, not great. I mean, the world of mercenary spyware is for real. And, you know, we talked a little bit about the lockdown mode that's in macOS and iOS that's going to be available this fall. This is the kind of thing that they take advantage of. And, you know, we think that, you know, as we go through this, there are groups who are essentially out there to make money hacking systems and to use this as a ransomware kind of situation, or to do code execution, or to do code exfiltration, or to do information exfiltration, corporate intelligence, all sorts of, you know, shady things with all of those things. And yet Sean's exactly right. Bad guys suck. So, you know, I think that this is just another case of another bad actor using, you know, common public resources like GitHub, for example, in code signing operations. And it ought to cost them. And so the hope is at this point, now that they've been clearly identified as being related to this project, that their resources can be taken away. It's not going to stop them. Nothing does. But you've just got to keep playing whack-a-mole. And in the meantime, you've just got to shore up your systems so that you're just a little bit faster than the lowest hanging fruit. You know, we talk a little bit about this all the time. If you're out in the woods with your friend and you come across a bear, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than your friend. And so, you know, the goal here is to use good tools as IT posture to not just make you faster, but to, you know, give you better policy.
So wrong, Tom.
You just got to be faster than your friend. The good news is if you're out walking with me, you're probably faster than me. So I will be bear food, and that's just how it is. But when it comes to digital security, I'm not.
When you said whack-a-mole, I had this flashback to, you know, being in the mall as a teenager, playing that stupid arcade game, whack-a-mole.
Yep,
so,
getting the tickets.
Yeah,
turning tickets into prizes.
Yep. I think that might date me just a little bit, maybe.
They still have it at Chuck E. Cheese, so you're safe.
I had worse flashbacks of Chuck E. Cheese, taking my kids to Chuck E. Cheese. Well, oof. Thanks for that, Tom. Even worse. All righty. So that's, I think, the end of the news for today. There's a lot more, but too many for now. It is now story time. Does anybody, I know Stephen wants to tell us a story. Is there anyone else who wants to volunteer to come on stage and talk about some fun sysadmin, admin, IT, fun, weird, wacky stories? Oh, so Tom has already volunteered to be bear-based, so we don't even have to run hard.
Never volunteered. I'm just going to tell you what's real.
Although I will say that we had a scavenger hunt in downtown.
I was just going to tell this story.
And while all of us were having to walk 1.5 miles, Tom grabbed a bike.
We're a tool using species. I
Yes.
just pulled out my phone, downloaded the Lime app, and then unlocked a Lime e-bike and just finished riding. Come on.
Yes, so we're all.
Tom thought
Yes,
that's
Tom
smarter,
said
not
working
harder.
smarter.
Mostly I was like, my knees and my arthritis is getting to me right now, and I can ride a bike, and it's going to hurt less than a Facebook.
And he's like, hey, friends, zoom, right past all of us.
Bye. I should have ridden it from all the way at Coors Field, and instead I was dumb.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, I thought about the scooters too, Pam, and I was kind of wishing I had done that, but I didn't have the app, and I was too hangry to do any of that.
Was getting to be that time of day.
Yes. All right, so Stephen, we're going to invite you up on screen, and you will have to give permissions to connect and say yes. He's going to tell us an interview story, I believe.
Hello.
Steven.
Hello, friend.
Welcome.
Sorry, my feed decided to cut out as soon as you invited me, so I had to refresh the page.
Well, you are here. We see you.
So yeah, mine's more of a horror story, and then it turns into a happy ending. I applied at my current company for a Drupal development internship, actually, and nervous as ever because, you know, coming out of college, ran up the stairs, almost tripped, and then got into the CEO's office and was doing the interview. And they asked me, we got through the formality questions, and they asked me what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I said, well, my dream job is to be a systems administrator. And the CEO and COO just kind of looked at each other and laughed for, in my head, what feels like a solid minute, but I'm sure it was only a couple seconds. And I was like, cool, okay, well, that's never happening in my lifetime, apparently. And then the CEO looked at me and he was like, it's funny that you mentioned that, because literally before this interview, we were talking about we need a systems administrator at the company. So continued as a Drupal developer for 9 months to a year, and then transitioned over to systems administration and took over the infrastructure.
Nice. That's awesome.
It was only a horror story for a brief moment.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I think about it often. I asked, I've been at the company for 4 years, and I just asked Aaron, he's the COO, if he remembers my interview. And he was like, no, I don't remember anything about it, honestly. And I was like, great. I remember it in great detail.
It just haunts my every waking moment, but that's cool.
Every time something goes offline, and I was like, they were right in my interview.
No.
Well, we are glad that it worked out for you. And now Stephen has another person with him who is taking some of the load off and freeing up his time to do more, actual, other things besides putting out fires.
Yeah, it's been really nice. I have as a spoiler, I guess, I have a blog that I'm going to post, or not a blog, but a large post that I'm going to put on the community forum about what it's like onboarding your first IT person. So it'll be fun. That's coming hopefully in the next week or so.
Awesome.
Yay. Awesome.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. And by the way, since you came on screen and joined us, we are going to gift you with a gift card for one of your favorite caffeine sources, maybe a coffee shop, Starbucks or Dunkin', or if we can get something local to you, we will do that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. I have no idea how to leave.
I can
forever now.
Yeah, you're just here. I can
You're just
close
here
your
now.
video and kick you out. There we go. Bye. All right. Whoa, whoa. Oh, Kelly says, whoa, whoa, whoa. Sysadmins can do stuff besides put out fires. Sometimes.
I'm told that,
Kelly,
yes, that is possible.
I'm told it's
I've read.
possible. I've read about it. I've heard rumors. You've seen one example. Mountain Dew
Success
Flaming Hot,
story.
very budget friendly. By the way, y'all told me in Slack that it was possible to find Diet Code Red Mountain Dew, and I'm calling you out now as potential liars because I have not found it. So I'm just saying it now. I think you're liars. But anyway, that's another story. So Jeff is saying, short story, left my job 2 weeks ago, furloughed and hired the next job in the same day.
Wow.
Dude,
Wow.
nice work.
So since I was the only one that could use Jump Cloud, I have to offboard myself. Ow. Ow, ow, ow. Well, sorry for that being abrupt, Stephen. I didn't mean for it to be abrupt. Currently planning a rebuild of our entire infrastructure, and may or may not have a post in community about that. Well, yes, you should, Stephen. I'm going to twist your arm about that. Michael says Flaming Hot was not good. And Code Red 0 at home right now. Rob, pictures or it didn't happen. You have to tell me where you got it.
You.
Totally, because I've looked in all the stores that I can find so far, and I have not seen it. Amazon.
Oh,
Kelly.
Amazon.
Kelly.
She dropped a link and everything.
I know.
Shout out Kelly.
Woohoo. My new favorite. Too late, Rob. Kelly beat you to it. She's my new favorite. Nice try.
Fantastic.
All right. So what we are going to do, I think that was, if no one else wants to come on and share with us, I think we have everybody in the list here. What we were going to do is we're going to do a random generator drawing.
Ooh.
And give
random.org.
away. Yes.
We bring the random to you.
That's right.
There's even
We are
a theme
going
song
to
for this.
we're going to toss names in a hat and do a $25 gift card to your caffeine favorite purveyor of choice. Could be Starbucks, could be Dunkin'. If you like another local coffee shop and we can get a gift card to that, we will do it. I didn't even know I needed random today. Pick me. Yes, Pam, you
like
and Tom should do client story showdowns.
I will say one of the funnest moments of doing sysadmin stuff was I got a phone call from one of our customers that was a concert venue, and they were like, "Hey, the tour manager for this band is having trouble with her computer. Can you come down and take a look at it?" And so, sure enough, went down to the venue, and the guy tells me the whole sob story about how all of this happened, and he hands it to me. He's like, "It won't even turn on. I don't know what to do." And so I took it apart. You know, it was a Windows laptop. We managed to figure out that it was the battery that was the problem. Took it apart, disconnected the battery, reconnected the battery, got it to recharge successfully, and got it stood up. He gave me 2 free tickets to the show that night and a T-shirt and like a mug. And so it was amazing. That was the best thing ever. So sometimes it's nice to come in and be the superhero. Absolutely. Kelly can, in fact, sing the random.org theme song. She is not wrong. She definitely knows the people that wrote it. So
I did not know there was a theme song.
Yes.
The more you know.
So Nathan has a story, and I'll go ahead and read it since actually, Alexa, why don't you read it? Because you've been pretty quiet today.
Awesome. Sure. I was working on my random generator, but yes. So Nathan, he said, when I was first hired here, I wanted to hit the ground running. So I started cleaning up user permissions and various services. I inadvertently locked the CEO out of a system. Uh-oh. I was freaking out a little inside. He handled it well and just gave me the time to fix it. We had a good laugh about it. Well,
I prefer
good.
Those type of CEOs.
Yeah.
As opposed to the ones that get red in the face and yell a lot. I've seen both. Oh, Keith, we had a forklift driver hit a sprinkler next to our server room, 6 inches of water on the floor.
I remember another time, this is in my in-house days, when over the 4th of July weekend, the compressor for the air conditioning in our server room failed. And somebody showed up on site because something went offline and walked into the server room, and it was 125 degrees inside the server room. Like, he opened the door, and it was just like a wave of hot, wet heat just came flowing out of it. It was amazing that anything worked in there. Wow. It was totally awful.
Ouch. I've been in 129-degree heat outside before. No, you do not, especially when your air conditioner isn't working. Do not want. So Rob says, I came into this job where Frontier had talked them into a VoIP solution over an unstable 6 megabyte 256K ADSL connection. Eee. Ow. That VoIP's going to work really well. And Ed says, or the time a sinkhole opened up in the middle of the street and we had water running into their utilities room via the fiber conduits. I still have wet fiber.mp4 on my machine. Oh dear. Maybe, I will. So when I post the link to this show in the IT hour, I would love you all to just reply to that thread and start sharing some of these stories. Because these are some good ones. Roger. Hey, Roger. That's one of our Jump Cloudians. Wayback Machine here. Was in Paris for system upgrades. Got a call from the CIO who is based in the London office. All of our data is offline. Insisted I come to London the next few days. Let's see. I just lost it. All of our... Since I come into London the next few days to figure it out, showed up on a Friday, see that the external drive cable is unplugged from the server, plugged it in, rebooted, all worked fine, spent the weekend in London on the company dollar.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow. Heard that one a few times. Did you check to make sure it was plugged in?
Wow.
Wait, great. Kelly, it was 132 degrees on your patio last summer?
Yeah, Portland had a huge heat wave last summer. It was brutal.
Oh.
132 is like insane though.
I mean, when I lived in Palm Springs area, we had 129 that I can remember. I mean, there may have been times it was hotter, but I definitely remember 129 because the air conditioning in my truck was not working and I had to drive home in that. And I had to stop halfway through because I couldn't even make it home.
Yep.
Wow. Official deployment for emergency access systems at my old job had $75 Triplite UPS batteries with laser printers connected. They caught fire one day.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, Rob. Whew. And Nathan says, ages ago, well, actually, Alexa, why don't you read that one so that people can stop listening to me? Give me somebody else.
Nathan says, ages ago when he was in high school, I was on call during a severe thunderstorm in the middle of the night when he got a page. When I went in, I discovered a huge hole in the ceiling with rainwater pouring down on the AS400 server. Huge disaster. Immediately powered it down, found plastic tarps, 5-gallon bucket, and called for backup. Managed to save it.
That's amazing. You actually managed to save it. Oh.
Wow.
Things that should not be liquid start to become liquid. Yeah, that's not good. Oh, actually, we have a question. So while people are still typing stories in the chat, David is asking, Tom, you probably want this one. Are there any plans to add other password managers to the list of tools available for SSO integration?
I'm smiling because I know the answer, but I can't share it yet. So know that there's a lot more to come on password managers, generally speaking. So we'll have more to talk about in probably another couple of weeks.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Sorry we can't be more clear on that, David, but we're kind of under orders to hold tight on that for a little bit longer.
Just a little bit longer.
Yeah. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. Houston, Texas. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Oh, Nathan.
Yikes.
I feel you.
Nathan,
Raleigh, North Carolina, the humidity. It's not the heat, it's the humidity that kills you.
Same here. Greenville, South Carolina. It's brutal.
Oh.
Well, Tom in DC too. I mean, he gets the humidity. So.
You added some of the other places that we mentioned. Houston, 105 and humid, and no, DC doesn't get that hot. We haven't been over 100 in 6 years. So,
oh wow.
Yeah, I was going to say over a certain point, it's all just pretty much misery. But you know, I think that I would rather be hot than cold. So yeah, I was going to say at least when you're cold, you can put on more stuff.
Yes.
There is a limit with heat. You can't go the other.
You can't, because you can only be so unclothed and still be able to go outside and not get arrested.
Cool.
So Kelly works at an MSP, and she said, we have a client with a number of outbuildings. Someone went into one of those buildings and was using FaceTime with someone at my company, got behind some equipment and saw something slightly larger and furry hanging out back there. Did not check for proof of life, just fled the scene.
Yeah, the power. I believe the power was not functioning there, and they went to go look, and there was a reason the power was no longer functioning, and it was furry.
Yes.
That particular site also frequently had a problem with groundhogs eating fiber. So they would eat the direct burial fiber. And so there were a couple of times you'd have to get the splicer out, and you're out like in the corner of a barn doing a fiber splice because the groundhog ate the fiber.
And then got electrocuted?
Oh, no. They just liked the fiber. They just thought it was tasty, and then they'd run away.
I thought maybe the furry thing got zapped, and then that was why it was there.
Well, in this particular case, the case that Kelly mentioned, yes, that is exactly why that thing that was furry was no longer around. Was that it had, come into contact with some electrical voltage that it should not have.
Wow. Yikes.
Looks like we've got another story from Mark. He had a user plug in a space heater into a server room tower UPS. The UPS went from 1 hour runtime to 0.
I, for a while, had my laser printer hooked up to the same UPS. I thought I was on the surge protection side. Turns out it was on the battery side. I printed something out and it lost power. There went there went the NAS. There went the local server. All of those things. Bad times.
Oof.
Wow.
Brett says, as the unofficial IT at a small business, I kept reminding our company owner, who thought he was IT, that our server backups were unreliable, incomplete, and needed to be revisited. He was particularly evasive after the server crashed and took unrecoverable data along with it. Suddenly he wasn't IT anymore, was he, Brett?
Yeah. Ouch.
Oh, David just completed first integration with JC and Ignite last night. So far, so good. Yay! Woohoo.
That's so exciting. And I was going to say, one of the things that I love about hooking up apps to single sign-on, because the more you do it, the more natural it becomes, the more time you're saving, the more, and for those conduits that support just-in-time provisioning, that support SCIM for identity, what you get out of the whole experience is an easy button for admins and an easy button for users.
All right, one last one, and then we'll do the drawing. Rob says, has a long form story, but the TLDR was our SCCM administrator updating all the distribution points across the state at 1 p.m., tapping out 2 10 gigabyte WAN connections.
Oops.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Some angry people across the state. Ooh.
I also once heard of an admin scoping a policy to do an update and scoped it to nothing in their device manager of choice. When you scope it to nothing, instead of applying to nothing, it applies to everything. And so he had been testing this policy and sent it out to prod with no scope, which meant it went on every machine. And suddenly all of their machines started updating to a version of the operating system they were not yet compatible with. There was many people who had to work to re-image all the machines that weekend to the correct version. It was very painful. Measure twice, cut once.
Okay, so we have done our random drawing, and actually we are pulling 2 winners.
Woo!
Woohoo.
All right, so 2 cards. Alexa, whose
Yes.
names came out of the random generator?
All right. Drum roll, please. Thank you. Our first winner is lucky number 11, Brett. Are you still out there?
My echo's going off in I think
We might be on a lag.
I don't know if Brett is still in the crowd or if he...
Brett, if you're out there, great. Oh, there he is. He says, woo!
And who was number
Congrats, Brett.
2?
All right, our second winner, drum roll please. Lucky number 36, Ed. Ed, are you out there?
I see Ed on the list. So I think Ed is still there and hopefully still listening.
Yeah.
I'm not multitasking too much. But congratulations. Yay! Brett was about to cry. I will reach out and see where you want to get your gift card to, and we will make that happen. And thanks everyone for joining us today. We had a really great crowd and we had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. We actually have about 4 minutes left. I guess we do have a couple more stories in here. I see Jeff had one and Kelly has another one. So Alexa, if you want to go ahead and read those really quickly.
Awesome. Yes. So from Kelly, I like the way she wrote this. Mr. Kelly, we're closed today. Kelly, why? Mr. Kelly says the power's out. Kelly says, so? Mr. Kelly, so none of the servers work. Kelly says, why does that matter? In that you very silly person tone. Mr. Kelly says, because we're all in the same building in that same you very silly person tone.
Yep. Sometimes we still need power to work.
Sure do. And then Jeff says, a previous company I worked for had to script out a wipe of Windows systems. After I left, someone who didn't know what they were doing started applying to all Windows systems, not just the one closed property. I got news of this and laughed.
Ow.
Wow.
Ouch. Ouch.
These are some great stories, y'all.
Really
Thank
are.
you. Thank you for sharing. It's always fun to see that we're not alone. Everyone has crazy stories. Please reenact a montage of the last hour IT hour crew.
I think we'll have to get some thoughts on that one. Keith, I'm not sure I follow. But that's okay.
Needless to say, this is Kelly. Needless to say, a conversation about disaster recovery followed Kenyatta because we don't have one. So if the servers are down, so are we. Yeah, very, very true. Yeah. Which goes back to backups, doesn't it? Backups and disaster
I think
recovery.
it does.
Full circle.
I was going to say probably one of the most sobering meetings I had in my IT days was a very difficult meeting in October of 2001, sitting around a conference table with a bunch of people in DC saying, all right, we need a full disaster recovery plan in case, we can't work out of DC. And what we realized was we started planning this, and about 45 minutes in, we kind of all stopped and we looked at each other and we're like, if we have to do this plan, everyone in this room is dead. And it was one of those like, do I really want to finish this assignment? But yeah, those are the kind of things that IT gets to think about, right? Like we get to think about like what happens when, hey, if by the way, if you have not yet, if you're in a mega million state, go out and get your ticket because it's $1 billion right now. And you got to think about all of the people out there who might get hit by the lottery bus and don't come back to work on Monday. And, if I don't show up Monday, by the way, friends, that's what happened. But no, honestly, I would probably still keep working because that's who I am. But, you think about those kind of things. What happens when you're in those kind of disaster recovery moments? You got to work with whatever's present and think about what all of those things are. So worst case scenario is hard sometimes. Maybe what we ought to focus on likely case scenario, not worst case.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I have a friend who is an editor for NerdWallet, and he wrote this really fun article about if you win $1 billion, here are some things you can spend it on. I will share that on the community because it's really very amusing and fun. And you can dream a little about if you won $1 billion, how much you would really get, and some things you could but probably shouldn't spend it on. So It's a lot of fun. And with that, we took up the full hour. So I think last week we had complaints that we didn't take up an hour. Someone felt shortchanged. So there you go. We got you this week, and it's a full hour. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We had a full crowd today, and we appreciate you. And Brett and Ed, I will reach out via email and get some info from you so we can get you your prizes. And Stephen, I will ask you for what coffee shop you want as well. Thank you all for joining us, and have a lovely weekend. And I will go enjoy Boz Skaggs on Sunday.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay!
Have a great one,
happy
everybody.
SysAdmin's Day.
Yay,
Yes.
SysAdmin Day.
Yay! Thanks, everyone.
All right. Bye.